Okay, so I just wanted to make a little video about some note-taking tips and techniques that might help you during this remote online learning time that we have. I feel very strongly that notes are extremely helpful and a good resource for you when you're learning math because you can go back and look at your notes, and especially in this situation because you're learning at home, your tests and your quizzes are technically going to be open note. So if you take good notes and have them written somewhere, you'll be able to go back and reference them, and that will make your life easier. So I'm not going to grade notes this year at all, but I do want to kind of walk through some good note-taking strategies so that will hopefully help you. So I set up just kind of a basic, this is C Notes or Cornell Notes. This is what I prefer because research has shown that if you interact with your notes multiple times, it increases your retention and you're able to remember things longer and better than if you just write something down and put it away in a notebook and never look at it again. So it's important to have some sort of title up at the top of your notes. I like to put the lesson and then what the title of the lesson is. That way, when you're flipping through your notebook, you know which page you need to flip to. I will always put the essential question. That's kind of up to you, and you'll see in a minute why I think that's important to have. But so this is, I just pulled one from Algebra 1. So my essential question is, how do you create equations with a variable on both sides and use them to solve problems? So this is how I title my paper. And then I like to put a line, and we have this vertical line here. So your notes are going to go in this main part of the paper. You could put vocabulary words, examples, equations and formulas, just generally things you want to remember. So that is what just note-taking is going to look like. And I'll flip to an example. So every set of notes that I give you, I'm going to give you the examples on the online whiteboard, but I will provide a written copy of notes just like this for every lesson that you see. So sometimes that's helpful because maybe in my videos, I know sometimes in class, people are like, you're going too fast. So if you can always pause the video if you're taking notes along with it, or you can have this sheet to reference. You can just watch the videos and go back and take notes later, however you want to do it. But I do think it's important. I think it helps you learn the concept and get used to practicing some of the problems by writing them down yourself. Okay, so this is kind of the bare minimum. This is just, I took notes. I'm not going to come back and interact with them at all. You'll notice I still left a space on the side and I left a space on the bottom. So this is just the initial information. This would be that I write it down, I put it in a notebook, and I forget about it. So with C Notes, if you really want to help yourself learn the material, some suggestions would be to, first of all, after you've taken the notes, go through and highlight them. So you'll notice I wrote some things in different colors as I was going through my notes. Using different colored pens can be helpful, or just waiting until you've finished the notes and then go back and highlight things. Not everything. If you highlight everything, it defeats the purpose, but just key things. Maybe you want to highlight the vocab words, or you want to highlight some things that you want to stick out to you. Okay? So that would be like what you do right away. Then let's say you come back the next day and you're going to start working on your assignment. Sometimes it's helpful to write study questions over here. Study questions are not things that you're not sure about. You want to think like a teacher. So try to come up with a question that could be on a quiz or a test. It's even better if you can kind of think of like higher level thinking questions, like not just how do you solve this equation, but maybe how is this equation, what are the similarities between a quadratic equation and an exponential function? So like compare and contrast, or what would happen if I switched this number? Like trying to think deeper about the topic instead of just following a set of steps. So study questions are things that you could look back on and help you study later. And then, so when I teach C notes in class, we call this the 10-24-7. So in 10 minutes, right after we take notes, we highlight. And then 24 hours later, so a day later, we come back and we do study questions. And then 7, so a week later, we come back and we write a summary. So again, you don't have to do it at 10 minutes, 24 hours, and 7 days. It's just that forces you to look back at your notes 3 times. So again, I'm not grading all of this. These are just tips to help you, because the more you look at your notes, the better off you're going to learn the material and understand what you're doing. The summary down at the bottom is just a 1 sentence to recap what the whole page of notes were about. So I like to restate and answer the essential question. So that's why I put this up here. So if I'm restating this, I would say, I create equations with a variable on both sides by, and then I would finish that sentence. And then I could say, and I use them to solve problems by, and then you would complete that sentence. So just a quick little recap of what the notes are about. So again, this is not something that you have to do. At the very minimum, I would strongly suggest you're at least writing down the examples in a notebook and titling them so that you have something to look back on when you're taking quizzes and tests, and doing the assignment. But if you choose to interact, just know that that's interact by writing study questions and writing a summary. Just know that that's going to help you remember things longer, and it's going to help you understand what you're doing, because it's forcing you to go back and look at this multiple times. So hopefully that is helpful.